Hey crew, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very special guest, one of my best friends from college, Vithi Peters. We both graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in May of 2023. And today we're going to be answering your questions about how to make friends in college, how to make close friends, how to maintain your friends after you graduate college, and the importance of adult friendships. But first, give a little introduction about yourself, and then we'll chat about how we met for the first and second time.
Hi, my name is Vithi. I actually first met Aman at freshman orientation, which is called SOAR. for UW Madison.
Yeah. So we met. We both were at this orientation thing. For context, our school has this thing called SOAR. It's a few weeks before the term starts.
Our parents found each other. Your mom, right?
Yeah.
And
your dad.
so my dad. And then they made us exchange phone numbers.
Yeah. Why did they find each other?
I feel
Were they like the only two brown people or something? Or?
both our parents did the exact same job. So both of our dads are the same type of physician. Both our moms do the same.
Like cardiologists.
Yeah. That's how they connected, I guess. And they, after their parent session, we went to go find them separately. And then we met each other.
Yeah.
And I just remember handing you my phone and you put your information in there. I was so disinterested. And I was like, I am never going to text this guy.
I never followed up on it.
Neither did I.
Which is kind of funny. So yeah, we literally exchanged phone numbers. We met, but it was more like our parents forced us to meet. And then we went our separate ways. And then
I literally never thought about him again. But I never deleted the contact.
Me
from
neither.
My phone, yeah.
My mom would follow up once a year and be like, have you ever talked to Miriam? Which is Vithi's other name.
Yeah. No, my dad would be like, what about that kid that we met? And I'd be like, I would forget completely that we'd even met.
I remembered you as the tall girl with glasses.
Really? I didn't remember your face at all. When we met the second time, the only reason that I recognized you was because of the name, not because of your face.
So the second time, this was a couple of years later, fast forward after freshman year. It was my junior year of college, and I had decided that it was about time to make more friends. Since COVID had happened, I basically isolated myself. I had two guys, Ben and Jacob. Ben, I'm sure you're watching this video right now. And I went months without talking to anybody. But then it was my resolution. Okay, it's junior year, it's September, the term is starting, it's time to make new friends. So the first thing I thought about doing was I need to join the Indian Student Association because I'm brown, as you know. And that's a very obvious thing that you can do. So I joined the orientation call or something. And this was a Zoom call.
It was the org fair. It was the virtual org fair that you joined. So I had been part of ISA since freshman year. So then at that point, I think I was
you were president, right?
I was a co-director with two other guys.
Okay.
But I happened to be working the virtual org fair shift that you joined.
Yeah.
I don't remember how it came about. Did I just ask you if this was your number?
I think what happened was I saw you there, and because it was over a Zoom call, I didn't recognize you at all. I just saw you as just some random Indian girl. So then we were talking about ISA. I feel like I opened up to you really quickly. I was like, I want to make more friends. Yeah,
you were asking me how to be on the board, I remember. And I was like, ooh, because the board applications had already passed for that year. So I didn't know what to say. But then I was trying to tell you how general members get involved and stuff.
Yeah. And then
I must have recognized your name and then looked at my phone on the side because we were on a Zoom call. So my phone was probably down here. And I was like, oh, wait, I have this guy in my contacts.
Yeah.
I think I just asked.
What you said was there was a moment where you were like, wait. Is your phone number? Insert phone number. And then I was like, yes, it is. How do you have my phone number?
And then I said, oh, because my name on the Zoom call was Vithi Peters, but you met me as
Miriam, which is your other name.
Yes.
So that's what, in my mind, that was Miriam, and then this was Vithi.
Yeah. So then I was telling you that, I was like, I think we met at SOAR. I think our parents made us give each other our numbers.
Yeah.
And then you were confused. And then I realized that you probably had heard of Miriam. So I was like, my name would be Miriam in your phone.
Looked, and then what do we know there? We see
I was like,
Miriam.
what are the odds that this ever happened?
That was insane. So that was how we met the second time.
Yeah.
And it was through an ISA.
2 years later.
Oh, after that, I wanted to be friends with you, I think. So the first time we met, I was not interested. I don't know what was on my mind at that time, but I was just not interested in becoming friends. Maybe because I was like,
so it's okay.
Yeah, there we go. Let's go. Yeah, so we were mutually not interested in becoming friends.
Well, our parents were be friends.
Yeah. No one, we were not genuinely interested in it.
Yeah.
And also, I think my mind was still in high school since I just graduated. So there we go. Two people can meet at two different moments, and based on your life circumstances, you can completely not want to be friends to at least one person wants to be friends. So
Wow.
why don't you tell me about how you felt about me when we first met the second time around?
Okay, so you know that I didn't really like you at first.
You really didn't like me.
In my defense, you would argue with me about everything. It was like your favorite thing to do was to like make us go to the library or to get food. And then we would just spend the entire time arguing about what is important in life.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. I was almost like a missionary to try to get people to get married and have kids.
Yeah, which is, if you know me, not exactly my thing.
Yeah, because it would end up being like we would say, I would reach out to Vithi or Vithi would reach out to me and say, hey, we should meet up in college library. One of my other friends is there. Potentially, maybe we can study and work on stuff. Because that was an activity you guys like to do. Just go to college library and work on stuff.
Yeah, me and my friend were always there. And I would feel bad sometimes because I would not respond to your messages.
Yeah.
It wasn't because it was him. It was, I just am bad at responding. And at the time, I was really bad at responding to people. So then whenever I would be at the library, I'd be like, oh, maybe I should invite.
Yeah. And then I'd show up, and instead of studying, we would just argue about things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we just fundamentally disagreed about so many things at that time that it was like just difficult to carry a normal conversation.
Yeah. And I feel like also around that time in my life, I thought it was a good idea to like try to convince people to like do my ways of life. You know
You
what I mean?
once said that your favorite thing to do was argue.
Really?
And I kept like an eye roll in.
I remember we were arguing about the marriage thing at that time.
Yeah.
In that specific situation.
Yeah.
But we used to argue a lot. So apparently you didn't like me very much around that time.
Okay, obviously I like you now, so it's fine.
And I feel like one thing I learned from this experience is that people don't like it when you judge them.
Oh, really?
Which is, again, it sounds
thought?
trivial, but that was not trivial to me. I thought that it was a good idea just to argue, to push my world, my beliefs upon you.
I think it's okay to be like firm in what you believe. I just, I don't have to believe the same things,
Yeah.
you know?
And in my mind, it was like, I need to convince this person to believe what I
Well,
do.
you were just such a family guy. You were like,
Yeah.
my life has not been lived
Yeah.
if I don't have a family.
Yeah.
And I was like, about that concept. And I think it just, you didn't get it at the time.
I mean, I still believe in that. Like, for me, at
Oh,
least.
of
I'm like,
course.
but at the time, I was like, it's crazy that someone can have a different perception for what their life is going to be. than
Yeah.
me. I just
See,
didn't.
I
have
think
that
it's
capacity.
great that you want a family, and I want you to have a family. But I just don't understand. At the time, I didn't understand why you needed me to have a family. You know what I'm saying? You were like, okay, but you need to learn to live your life to have a family.
What it was is like, at the time, I was convinced that one could not be happy without having a family.
Yeah.
So I was like, I like this person. I want her to be happy.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I was like-
I understand that it came from like
Yeah.
a nice place, but it was just annoying to somebody who's like,
Yeah, fair enough.
I can have fun. Like I can have a good life without that. So
When you meet someone new, if you want to be friends with them
be open-minded.
and avoid arguments.
Okay.
You think arguments are fine?
I think discussions are fine, but I don't think we just had discussions. I think we had legitimate arguments. You know, like now we have discussions.
What do you think the difference between a discussion and an argument is?
I think a discussion respects the other side. In an argument, the person doesn't feel like there's an end result that isn't the other person agreeing with them. But in a discussion, you can like leave the discussion knowing that either you're just both not agreeing, or maybe somebody does now agree with the other side. But it could go either way.
I guess the sole goal of an argument is to convince the other person to your way of life.
Yeah, like
or
in
your
my
belief.
opinion.
Yeah. And then a discussion, I guess, would be like you're just trying to learn more about the other person.
Yeah, I also
Is the
think like
goal.
with an argument, people are defensive about what they believe, whereas with the discussion, they're just explaining what they believe,
And they're curious about the other side too,
Yeah.
like genuinely curious.
which I think is like,
Yeah, it's better.
I think that's healthy.
Yeah. So I think there was also a point where we were arguing about like something related to like anxiety or mental health.
Yep, at that.
We were sitting at like my dining table over there, and it was a dinner party that, if you read my newsletter, go subscribe in the description. If you read that, you'll know that I tend to throw dinner parties probably every 1 to 2 months in my apartment. And Vithi over here has come to several of them. And on one of the first ones, we had a bunch of people there, and me and Vithi just ended up arguing the entire time about something. I don't even know what it is, but something related to anxiety or something. We
I
just
don't
argued
remember
about.
what it was now.
I don't know what it was, but yeah, we just argued the entire time. And several of the people at that dinner were just quiet
Yeah.
for like an hour when we were arguing.
A couple of like one of my friends pitched in a little.
You think Cable pitched in?
Yeah,
I thought Pranav pitched in.
I think he did, but I think Cable pitched in too.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I remember being like, at least he's.
Yeah. Was Console there too?
Yeah, she didn't say anything.
Yeah, she didn't say anything. So one person was completely silent for like 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other two were like kind of like joining in every 5 to 10 minutes, like a little bit.
I think another thing is I knew that we were arguing and I was trying to not argue.
Yeah.
But I was so emotionally invested in arguing with you because of all of our previous conversations that I couldn't like bring myself to just remember that we were at a dinner party that was supposed to be lighthearted and
it felt
fun.
like life or death.
I was like, I'm going to hurt this guy. Like, I was so mad. But then I think it worked out in the end. I didn't leave it feeling... I left it feeling like we talked about this for too long, not, oh, I'm hurt or something.
And I feel like, what do you think changed for our friendship? Like, I don't think it was like a certain moment, but we just stopped arguing about things after a while.
I think we usually hang out as a group. I think our third person, I think that helped us get over the arguing thing because it's just not fun.
Yeah,
you know?
when two people are arguing.
Yeah, and then like, but I think because there was other people there, we started to not argue as much. Also, we started to do activities. Like we started to watch movies. Yeah. As a group. So I think that was helpful because what are you going to argue about?
Yeah. It gave us something to focus on externally.
Yeah.
An activity.
Yeah. And then I think we became like good friends in like a group setting. And then after that, like somehow we then healed and now we have a good like
so what happened
one-on-one.
was we have this third friend, his name is Pranav, and us three used to hang out in like a group setting. I feel like nowadays we look at it and it's very much like Harry, Ron, Hermione, with like you being Hermione and then me and Pranav being like a mix of Harry and Ron.
Yeah. I think so too.
And then after a while we ended up just like cooling down with each other and now we're just like one-on-one friends.
I agree.
So yeah, after that, we ended up becoming one-on-one friends. So now we're going to go through some of your questions now that we've talked about how we met and how we became close friends. By the way, if you want to ask me questions, follow me on Instagram. You can swipe up and ask me questions for the next video like this. First question is, how do you approach new people without coming off weird? Says IGH Des 03.
I feel as though, I think a lot of times what I do is I'll comment on something that I've noticed about them. So I'm like, I'm a big fan of a bunch of different book, movie fandoms. And so if I see any merch or something, or even if it's like subtle merch, I'll be like, oh my God, I love that. Because sometimes people, they get subtle merch because they're afraid of being judged, but I feel like they also like when somebody notices, you know? So I like to do that. Or I'll like comment on their like hair or something. I'll be like, oh my God, I like your hair. If it's a guy, I usually don't do that because it just feels different. But I'm trying to think of like different settings where you can meet somebody.
Yeah. So where have you met most of your friends? Because you have a lot of friends. Vithi's a very, very social person.
I'm not a very, very social person. I have like...
You just have a lot of friends.
But I'm not as like...
Okay. You're like Are you an introvert?
Yes.
You're an introvert with a lot of friends.
Yes.
Okay.
I think a lot of them I met in high school. I met Pranav at one of your dinner parties.
One of your best friends met at my dinner party.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Cable though, I knew him in high school, but we didn't become friends until college, and I reached out to him on Snapchat. We were friends for a little bit, but then I saw he was transferring to Madison, and so I like swiped up and was like, hey, oh my gosh. I met a lot of my friends through ISA, through that organization. So I had a lot of friends through that.
So what was your approach when you would see someone new, like let's say Pranav or something, or just anyone that you're like, I find this person interesting. I would like to get to know them more. How would you bridge that gap?
I usually am just like, hi, my name is Vithi. What do you like to do for fun? Like, okay. I think I just pretty standard. I think if you go in with some level of confidence that isn't overbearing, you're not going to be creepy. It's going to be it's going to seem inviting. Yeah. You know? I don't do that often because I am also a little scared. Yeah. But when I have done it in the past, I don't think it's been strange. It might be easier though for me as a girl. So what would you say about that?
I feel first of all, I feel like if you're trying to make a new friend, I feel like the chances that you come off weird are not that high if you're just not a weird person.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're a normal person, I feel like people, at least at our age, are not going to think you're weird if you want to be their friend.
I think the only problem with that is that some people think anxious people are weird, but they're not weird. They're just anxious. Mm-hmm. So I just feel like if you're, what?
Say more.
I feel like if you're anxious about meeting new people, then the thing that I talked about, like trying to find people with the topic that you like. So a lot of like people that are anxious, they'll at least have one topic of conversation that they could talk about that topic for a long time. So if you can find people where that bringing up that topic would be normal, then at least you'll be in your element. You know, like if you can steer the conversation towards something that you like. At our last dinner party, I steered the conversation here with all of those new people to something that I was comfortable talking about.
What was that?
We talked about books, musicals, K-dramas, like that is something I am in my element in, and because they responded well to it, then I was able to like make
You immediately
friends
felt
with
like you bonded with them because you both had like loves of the same things.
Yes. With Nick, he's a teacher, so I brought up the fact that I have a friend who's a teacher, and I was telling him about some of my friends' stories and asking him about his opinion. I think like just trying to find any level connection. It doesn't have to be deep. I think some of my best conversations with new people are about things that are like, oh, my socks are Star Wars socks or something. Yeah. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or that keychain, is that from an anime? I've watched that anime, you know? I feel like it's my go-to to start a conversation.
By anxious, do you mean like people feel anxiety when they're like in a new social situation or something else?
I think you could either have anxiety or have social anxiety or just be anxious in the moment. But I think the same sort of advice in that specific situation applies to all three.
So the solution here is if you feel nervous or if you feel anxious, try to steer the conversation towards something you feel like you're in your element in.
Yes.
Yeah. Like if you see someone wearing a certain sweatshirt with like, I don't know, a logo of a show that you like, you can talk to them about that.
Right. Like if you really like musical artists, if you see somebody with like merch, just compliment them on the merch. Be like, oh my gosh, I love that album.
Yeah. What if it's a completely random person with no distinguishing characteristics that you can comment on?
If it's a completely random person and you want to be their friend, I just am finding it difficult to be like a random person on the street that you'd want to be friends with. Like I feel like that's not common.
Really realistic.
Yeah, it's not like a really realistic situation.
What it would be is like you would talk to them somehow and then you'd be like, I like this person, I want to be their friend.
Yeah.
After talking.
Also,
to them.
I think this might be not super accurate, but I think, in my opinion, when I reach out to people who have these merch things, that's already one thing we have in common. So it's like a higher success rate for are we going to be friends? Now, I don't think you have to have that. I just think for people who are anxious about making friends, if you already know that you have something in common, it helps.
Yeah.
You know, you see somebody wearing this thing from your favorite show, and you can be like, oh my gosh, I love that show. That's one thing that you guys already have in common. So maybe you'll have something else
other
in
things in
common.
common.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, it's the gym is the very obvious thing to bring up.
There we go.
And you listener right now, you probably have gone to the gym a few times. And that's something, it's a very common and easy thing to bring up. I don't know how it comes to, I think usually people ask me, hey, what are you into? And I'll say something like, oh, I really like going to the gym. It'll be the first thing on that list. Probably. And then usually they're like, oh wow, like I also hit the gym, I like lifting, especially if it's a dude.
Well, when our friendship got closer, like our one-on-one, it was because we talked about reading.
Exactly.
Because we talked about something that we were both like in our element in and we have in common.
So you just got to find the thing that you have in common with them that you actually care about and then start talking about the topic. But you and Pranav, notoriously, I don't think this is true now, but there was a time where you're like, we have nothing in common.
Okay, but he was a lot like one of my already good friends. I noticed personality similarities between somebody else I already had a really good relationship with. So I was like driven to be friends with him. Also, Pranav and I never hung out one-on-one originally. Like we were also the group, you know? And
then you got to know him through the group.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
I think I kind of got to know both of you through the group.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I got to know Pranav first, like one-on-one. Like it was, I got to know him better first, and then like it was us.
Which is crazy because I feel like
I know
I like connected you two, so.
I know. I think it's pretty. Well, that's always how it goes. So.
Yeah, that's wild.
That happened to me one other time. Yeah. So.
It's like the two friends you put together like each other more than they like you.
Okay, that's not what it is. Wait, I didn't like process what you said. That's not what happened.
Well, at first, at least.
Okay, maybe at first. Yeah.
We're fine now. Let's just be real here. You know?
Okay, it's not like I was like, oh my god, he's so much better than Aman. Yeah. I just like we just talked a little bit.
Well, he didn't argue with you at first.
Yeah.
Okay.
He joined our argument sometimes. He was mellowing things down a little. He'd be like, okay, guys, you know, yeah. We're both very high energy people. I think I can be low energy, but around like when we were fighting, I always like matched your high energy. And he's always
mellow. He's usually not. And I feel like that's why a group works as well. Like we have different levels of energy.
Like I'm the middle, like I'm the fluctuator. Yeah. You're the high energy and he's the low energy. So do
you think he's an introvert?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know because okay, the way that I know the introvert extrovert, that's a very general.
Yeah, it's just a mental model.
Yeah, you know? But the way that I think about it is like the battery. The social battery thing. So extroverts, if they go out and hang out with people, then their battery is like charging while they're hanging out with people. Whereas introverts, like they can love to hang out with people, but their battery doesn't charge unless they're alone. That's why I think I'm an introvert, because no matter how much I love the people I'm spending time with, I need to like be alone for a little bit. Otherwise I'm gonna get tired. Or you know, but I don't know if that's how he is. You're probably an extrovert by that standard, right?
Yeah.
Like you still like your alone time, but...
I think I'm an extreme extrovert. Maybe not extreme. Yeah, I'm a pretty high extrovert.
Yeah.
So, like when I hang out with people, I don't actively feel like I'm getting drained.
Yeah, see that's how I
am getting drained, but it's like in the background. And I only recognize after, let's say I spend like 3 or 4 days straight with people. And then on the 5th day, I spend that alone.
Right.
I feel like really replenished.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not like shy, you know, like in social situations usually. Sometimes I am, but not all the time.
But you always talk about how you're socially drained.
Yeah, because I am. I'm like tired after these conversations. And I was having fun, but I'm just tired at the end of it.
It takes a lot out of you. Now, if you're struggling to find a software engineering internship or land a software engineering job, and you see this year as the year that you want to break into FANG, I actually run a school for computer science students called the Software Engineering Accelerator. If you want to work directly with me to land the internship of your dreams without spamming lead code, without building a pointless GitHub page, and without spending hours at career fairs, I'd love to hear from you. We actually guarantee internships, so every student who enters the program gets an internship guarantee. So check the link in the description and submit an application if you're interested in getting an internship that makes all your friends jealous. Question 2 from Siddharth Seloth. How easy is it to make friends at the workplace? Is it strictly professional, or do you find your bestest friends there? I think we can both answer this.
You want to go first?
Sure. So at the workplace, notoriously I've done several internships at companies like Amazon and Shopify, and I worked as a full-time software engineer for the last 8 months or so. And especially at Amazon and my last software engineering role, because they were both in person, I made some good friends there. Specifically at Amazon, there was the other interns. And the way I made friends with them is because I just went ahead and organized all the social events. I just volunteered to do it. And I feel like that's like my identity, is the identity of the host. Because I tend to organize all the dinner parties, I get everybody together, and I did that at Amazon. So like I organized a beach day, I organized a surfing day where I got like 10 people together and we all took a surfing lesson together. I organized dinners and all that stuff. And I made like really good friends there during that time. Specifically, there was this guy named Jack, who was like my best friend there. And he was like my first male friend in college that I felt. Well, Ben and Jacob were my other friends, but like I feel like I hung out a lot with Jack one-on-one. So that was the best way I made friends at the Amazon internship. During my full-time role for the last 8 months, I made friends, but they were more like acquaintance friends. So I hung out with them like a few times outside of work, but I never felt like a deep connection with them. And one of the guys, his name is Ben, I've hung out with him a few times as well. But even there, I was a social chair. So like I like volunteered to organize all the social events. I put together a karaoke night. I put together a Christmas dinner for the entire office to go and do that. Like I organized it and convinced everybody to come. So everybody knew me as like the guy who wants everyone to hang out. So I feel like if you can lean into that kind of identity, be the one who gets people into the room, people will like you because everybody likes to hang out, you know, and people really appreciate it when you're the one who does that.
Yeah, I think it's one of your better qualities, especially because you're friends with a lot of non-initiators.
Unfortunately, yes.
So I'm glad that
Mm-hmm.
you don't like have an ego problem. You just keep.
I have a little bit of an ego problem.
Okay.
I would say.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you continue to initiate things.
It's not. My ego is not so big that I just quit initiating because I'm like all these other people won't initiate with me.
Yeah.
But I mean, a little bit of the ego thing is like, why am I the only one who's like putting in the effort into the group? And this has happened a few times. Like with some of my work friends, I left my job at software engineering like 1 or 2 months ago, and then I organized a dinner where we all hung out. And then a few weeks later, I was like, guys, we're gonna hang out again. I'm leaving Madison. And then they were like lukewarm with their responses. So I feel like if you want friends though, you have to risk being hurt like that. Not to say I was like hurt. I'm strong, you know?
Do you feel that way with us?
Sometimes when I'm like, let me think about this actually.
Like, have you felt that way recently? Because I would get that senior year.
I'm sure I have, where I want to do something or put something together, and then you guys are both like slightly hesitant about doing it. And I've been like,
yeah.
I mean, especially with our third friend, I tend to initiate more than him, which is fine. But there are times where I'm like, it'd be nice if like he invited me to do stuff as well, you know?
Yeah. I think, okay, for work, going back to work, I'm in like a little bit of a different situation because the people I work with are not even close to my age ever. Like, so at the internships, like it's a little different. But I feel like, I think if you just start telling people about funny stories, I don't think you should ever get too emotional at the workplace in terms of like trauma dumping or
hot take.
I think, yeah, because I think that unless you have an established friendship outside of work with that person, I just feel like sometimes like these people are going to work, they're tired. Do they really want to hear about your problems in that moment? I'm not usually the type of person that cares if another person is sharing, but I would not maybe share like hard-hitting emotional things that I'm not fully over yet. Like if I'm at a point where I'm like removed from the emotion of it or I'm like over it or whatever, then I think that's fine. But I'm like kind of the like comedian at work. Like I just like am always making people like trying to make people laugh.
Yeah.
So I think that can be fun. And then I just bring up a lot of my like hobbies, interests. Like I think that's the type of thing that you bring up at work, in my opinion. Like, oh, did you see this new movie? Like, I really liked it for this and this and this reasons, you know? And I have some good friends from work because of that. You know, I have a book club with my one friend. She's like over 10 years older than me.
That's crazy.
And I love her. And she's like literally one of my favorite people.
So you're 22.
Yes. And she's 35,
that's
I think.
Crazy.
Yeah. And so we have a friendship outside of work. And it's because we were like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to have a book club and we're going to plan to meet. So I think sometimes she wanted me to do yoga and I ended up being out of town, but I think that's another good thing to do is like, if there's like a physical activity that you guys can do like once a week, that might be the easiest way to get your work friends to hang out with you outside of work. She's kind of an initiator too.
Yeah. Oh, so like she initiates with you a lot.
Yeah, I think I initiate with her too because we're reading like we have a book club, so it's like a but originally
club, what do you mean?
It's like we get together, we pick out a book or a series, and then we decide a date that we're gonna meet, and then we read the book by that date. I usually read it literally the day of or the day before because I like when it's really fresh, and then we meet again and we discuss the book like over chai or coffee. And then we pick out our next book at that date, and then we set the next date.
So how often is this?
Well, okay, it depends because if it's a single book, we try to do once a month. But if it's like a series, sometimes we get a little too into it. So then we'll read the first book and we'll meet, and then we'll be like, we have to meet next week because we like need to finish the second book. So it's a little variable, but we're gonna meet like either next week or the week after for our next book. So.
I feel like that's a good point. if you can find an activity that you both like doing and it's a repeated activity. So I think yours is the book thing. We also have a book club that we do. It's a little bit less consistent than that, but I wrote about this in my newsletter actually. We have like a book exchange thing annually. So it might happen more than once a year, but like roughly it's like every year we've agreed that we're going to read one of our favorite series, like one of each other's favorite series, and then we're going to talk about it and potentially reread it as the other person's reading it for the first time.
Yes.
So it's kind of like a book exchange. And you did Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson last year. You liked it, I hope.
Yes.
I like it a lot, obviously. And then you gave me...
The Lunar Chronicles.
Yes, I read The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I didn't expect to like it at first. And the first book, like, I was like lukewarm about. And the second book I was also lukewarm about until the ending. And then I really started to like it. So in the end, I was really into it. I read like all 6 of the books or whatever. Or 5 of the books and then 1 novella. And it was a really great experience. So if you're a reader, I think that's it's a great activity I have found.
I think another thing is like watching TV shows. I watch a TV show with my friend every Wednesday night. So she comes over every Wednesday night and we watch.
Which friend is this?
Erica.
Okay. And
we watch our show and we talk about the show. We like update each other on our lives a little bit once a week. We don't text that much outside of our little meetups, but because we meet like once a week, it's like a low maintenance but high frequency friendship in my opinion. So we meet at a high frequency, at least for me, once a week because I feel like high frequency. And then I don't know, it's a nice balance, I think, from us like having fun but also knowing what's going on in each other's lives and just being consistent. Another
version of that is also the gym. I think that's like the most, at least for me and my audience. TV shows might be up there too. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the gym is like I don't know. For me, the gym is like the number one thing.
Well, that's how I see Sadie.
Yeah. So you also do the same thing.
Yeah, I see Sadie 3 times a week because we go to the gym and then we get like a healthy lunch.
Yeah.
I say healthy because, it depends.
That's fine. It's a healthy lunch. Healthy is in the eye of the beholder.
Listen, it's healthier than what
healthier
I
lunch. You get a healthier lunch. But yeah, so you have your TV show thing, and then you also have the gym with Sadie. So I also, since I have to go to the gym 3 to 4 days, or I don't have to, I choose to go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week, and I love it. It's one of the default things that I know I'm going to be at the gym 3 to 4 times a week. So I can reach out to all of my friends who also work out and ask them if they want to come with me to the gym. And truth be told, I usually have a worse workout because someone else is there. But because I can like do something that I really care about, i.e. the gym, and also get socialization in during that time, I feel like it like really like restores the soul. Because if I had to do all of those things separately, like I had to go to the gym and then also hang out with people at a dinner or just sit there on the couch and talk to someone, I just feel like in our busy lives it would never happen. So it also gives a reason to keep reaching out to them. So for example, I have a group of 3 with 2 guys. One is Pranav, we mentioned earlier, and the other is Duncan, one of my good friends. And we have a group chat. It's like me, Pranav, and Duncan in that group chat. And every 1 to 2 weeks, one of us will be like, gym boys, ? And then Duncan will be like, I can do after 6. And I'll be like, no, I can do after 7. And then we'll like do a little negotiation. Then Pranav is like, I can come at 5:30. He's usually late. And then it'll be like a nice way that we can see each other. And then we'll go to the sauna as well afterwards. So like we'll sit in the sauna and then we'll chat about life updates. I always ask Duncan, how's work? How are things going? And we just talk about things. And then it's like usually a 1 to 2 hour endeavor. And then I don't see him for like 1 to 2 weeks. So it just feels really nice. I think going to the gym with other people, even if you get a worse workout in, it is one of the best ways to connect with people. All right, next question. How many friends do you think is optimal? This is not a question to someone else. I seeded this question in there. Like, how many friends do you think you can maintain at once? Because you have a lot of friends.
I don't think that answer is like there's a blanket answer. I think it depends on you and your friends. See, I think one thing that I am always very honest about with my friends is how much time I'm going to give them. And if they are not okay with that time, or if they need more time, that's perfectly fine. But then it's just not, it's not going to work out. I don't like to set super high expectations for things when I know myself. But I do think that while I have maybe a fair amount of friends, I think that I like the relationship that I have with all of them. I have the friends that they get updates from me once every 3 months. I have the friends that I talk to at least once a week. I have the friends that I talk to every day. I have I just think that as long as the two of you are on the same page and there's like communication, it's fine. Also, in the past, I have had friends be like, I need you to talk more. And if I have the time and energy to do so, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to try. I'll try harder.
Yeah.
And if I don't, then I'll say, I can't do this right now because this is what's going on in my life. I think that if you are always, if you're honest with your friends and you just talk to them, you can maintain a lot of friends.
It's a big ask, Vithi, to talk to your friends and be honest with them.
I'm just saying, I think like it's okay, you know? And also, I actually think it gets easier. Okay, this might not be actually valid for most people, but I think it gets easier as you get older to maintain friendships because most of your friendships are long distance. So I will just schedule a call every once in a while with different friends, you know? So I don't find it...
Are you the one scheduling it, or is it just kind of equal?
It depends. Some friends I schedule, some other friends they schedule. Or what'll happen a lot of times is because I still live in like my hometown. If my high school friends are coming back, they're the ones that tell me when they're gonna be in town. But then I will be like, okay, let's do this, you know? Because like, of course, when they're in town, I'm gonna want to hang out with them. Yeah. And so I usually see, like I see Dan at least once when they're home, you know? So, and then with Max, if he's ever home, I will see him at maybe once, maybe twice, depending on how long the visit is. If I'm ever in Chicago, I let him know, you know? So I actually think that because most of my friendships are like long distance, it's easier for me to maintain a higher number of them.
Okay, got it. Because like each one doesn't take up that much amount of your time. And you just do you ever feel like you fall off with friends like over time?
I have fallen off. I think everyone falls off with friends with time. I don't talk to everyone I talked to in high school. That would be crazy if I just knew everyone.
Yeah, just everybody.
You know? Yeah, but I think it happens, and occasionally, you know, someone will reach out, and then you'll reconnect, and that's okay. I don't think it really says anything except for that you guys were living your lives. Where you know.
Do you ever feel like embarrassed or worried about reaching out to friends you haven't talked to in a while? You're like, ugh, I have to reach out to this person. I want to reach out to them, but I don't want to be awkward or weird, or it might be.
No, I have some complicated. There's some complicated people that I am really good friends with that are going through complicated things in their lives. Sometimes I am nervous about how to reach out to them when I know that sometimes their life isn't the easiest. But in my head, I'm like, it's better for me to reach out than to not reach out. So I usually get over it pretty fast.
So you feel that low level anxiety or like slight worry about reaching out to them?
I think, yeah. And I think the issue is I usually am more worried when I'm not reaching out with them, when I don't have active connection. So then or active communication. So.
Kind of going on a bit of an earlier point. What do you think the appropriate pace of vulnerability is with a friend? And are there friends where like you just have not been super vulnerable with and it's fine?
I also think this depends on the person because I know people that became like best friends, emotional vulnerability and everything right away. And they are some of the strongest friendships I've ever met. I also know people who took it really slow and they are also some of the strongest people. I have had friendships where we've been really vulnerable really fast, and then we stopped talking because, you know, something happened, and then we reconnected, and now like we're a lot better. But sometimes you can arguably go too fast. I think the issue is whatever pace of vulnerability you decide to go, you need to be aware of yourself, because if you're the type of person that needs emotional reciprocity, then you need to be aware of, oh, did I share a lot more than they've ever shared with me? Because if that's going to be something that makes you feel bad, then maybe you shouldn't share as much with that person if you want to keep that friendship. Yeah. I also think that if there's a point where you're so severely codependent, that can be an issue. So severely codependent that you can't imagine hanging out with a friend without them, that's probably an issue, you know? I have been like that before. I have been codependent before. I think mine stemmed from more of like, mentally, I was not doing well, and neither was this person. But So it didn't affect my other friendships at the time, but I know people who have had that. So I just think you need to know yourself, and you need to either just ask the other person. I'm like a huge just ask the other friends. Like, are you comfortable sharing these types of things with me? And if they say no, and you're not comfortable sharing those types of things with them, then don't.
See, to ask that, I just feel like you're at like another level with communication skills to be able to ask those questions. I feel like most people, if they sit there, they can't imagine asking a friend, are you comfortable sharing this or not? Or like maybe their best friend they could, but someone they're getting to know, like, are you comfortable right now? To say that is just, it's tough. It's tough out there.
I think I'm not afraid of them saying no, so it's easier for me to ask the question. Like, I am asking the question just to discern.
For yourself, you want to know.
Yeah, I just want to know. So I have no like emotional baggage.
You have no agenda
either
here.
Yes or yeah, I have no agenda. I'm just like, where are we at? Is this something that we would be comfortable talking about or no? And then if they say no, okay. I don't think, I think that's the issue, is that like sometimes when people will ask those types of questions, it's because they secretly want this person to have this answer. I think you can't ever do that to people, or it's either going to stress you out so much that you can't ask the question, or you're going to be so severely emotionally impacted if the answer isn't what you want. And sometimes things are simple. Sometimes somebody will just share with you and then you can just share right back, But if it's not like that, I think asking is the best thing.
Real quick, guys, if you want to stay up to date with me and get weekly productivity advice, subscribe to Thoughtful Thursday, my very own email newsletter. That's where I share in real time all the techniques, lessons, and frameworks that I picked up that week. The newsletter subscribers always hear it first. You can subscribe at amanmanazir.com/newsletter. Another one of my questions here. So a little bit of background in both of us. Both of us don't drink alcohol. And I think that's something that's usually not normal in college. Like, there are people who don't drink, but it's kind of, it's rare to find people like that. I think you're one of the only people I know who doesn't drink alcohol. Do you know a lot of people who don't drink alcohol or in college?
I don't think so. I mean, we did go to Madison.
Yeah.
Which.
But most, maybe like a private college would be different. Like.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But most of my friends drink.
And most of my friends also drink. So it's rare to find someone who, and both of us don't drink, like, not for religious reasons, I don't think.
No.
Yeah. So that's another thing as well. Like, if you spend a lot of time in a religious community, maybe you don't drink for that reason.
That's true.
But how do you make friends without drinking alcohol? I know, like, you're much better at this than I am. I really struggled early on. Like, I would get invites to go to parties and stuff like that. Especially like right after COVID was toning down, like my junior year. Because sophomore year, I was never invited to anything, because like most of the parties, I mean, they were happening, but like they were not advertising that they were happening because it was considered a bad idea to do that. So I would get invited every once in a while. I went to this Halloween party with my good friend Ben. I dressed up as Steve Jobs, and I remember like walking around there and feeling like I was in a different universe. Like, all these people were just drunkenly doing small talk, and I was like, where am I? Like, I felt like I was like almost like ghost walking or something. Like, I was in a room as like a spirit and just like moving around and just observing people's conversations and thoughts like that. And it literally felt like they would look through me. Like, their eyes would fall on me and it would be like, they're not seeing me. You know what I mean? So I ended up going upstairs and talking to Pranav during that because he lived with Ben. And he was doing some homework assignment or something, so he wasn't at the party. So I've really struggled with going to parties. I've actually hit the point where I just don't do that anymore. Like, I just avoid situations where people are drinking alcohol profusely because I just can't do it. So how do you feel about parties, and how have you navigated those situations when you're not drinking?
I don't think I have as much of a problem with it as you. I'm usually pretty good at talking to drunk people. I think it's kind of fun.
You like it.
Yeah. I actually like enjoy it.
Yeah.
And also if I have at least one I don't think I would go to a party with a lot of drunk people if I didn't know anyone, though. I will say that, because no matter how fun of a sober person you are, sometimes it is just hard. Also, I am a little bit introverted, so I need at least one person that I know, I think, in order to relax. But I think it helped that a lot of my best friends, they party and they drink and they'd bring me. And I usually find a job. This is what I like to do. I like to find a job at the party. So I'm like the one serving the alcohol, or like if there's like a a huge bowl of like Whopper Punch or something. I'm the one like refilling everyone's cups.
Yeah.
I like doing that because then a lot of different people come and talk to you, and then you're like, oh hi, I like your shirt, or oh hi, like, are you having fun at the party? And it's like kind of nice. Or I will find like a corner, and I will like start a conversation. If it's at a party with a lot of people that I know, I will sit in one corner and allow the people that I know to come and take their rounds with me. So like I'll sit in a corner, and then one friend will come by and we'll chat it up, and then another friend will come by and we'll chat it up. Like I think it's funny because there are often times where I remember so much more of it than they do. And then I can tell them the next day, this is what you did.
So you find it fun to talk to your friends when they're drunk?
Yes.
So what do you guys end up talking about? Just normal things, but it's just they have like funny reactions and behaviors and stuff like that?
Yeah, sometimes they're usually, or if they're like slurring their words, I usually like the next day will make fun of them a little bit for it because I think it's like lighthearted fun, but funny nonetheless, you know? Or if like a usually unsentimental person is like, can I have a hug? Then I will make so much fun of them for it the next day, right? Like I just think it's funny. Or I had a friend, she always used to like trust fall because when she was drunk, cause she like, I don't know if she wanted guys to catch her or if she just like thought it was funny, but I remember giving her so much, like just so much crap for it because she would just trust fall and I would run to catch her because I was like, you know,
you had to be there. That was your job.
Yeah. Also, that's another thing. I like to be the sober person that is just watching out for my friends a little bit. Like I feel like I enjoy it more when I know there is a sober person. Like just chilling, making sure no one does anything like dumb because like I care about my friends. It's usually it hasn't gotten to that point generally, but I don't know. I enjoy it. I think you can't go in there expecting to have like an academic conversation or like a professional conversation. You have to be ready to talk about things that are usually not that deep, you know? But sometimes it's nice to do that.
So you're pretty good at, I think one thing is that usually in these, like you said earlier, in these situations, you're with people you know. So it'll be like your friends, you're really good friends with them already. And then they'll be like at an alcohol convention.
An alcohol convention? A party. Can
you see the difference here between me and you?
Yes.
We'll be at an alcohol convention. At a party. And then you will just...
sorry.
Go ahead.
You know another thing?
Yeah.
Is that when you grew up, like your brown parties, did they not have alcohol?
Never.
See, at our brown parties, there's always alcohol.
So you kind of grew up around people who were like casually drinking alcohol?
Or
in these parties. Like it was like kind of a normal thing.
Like the parents, As a kid, like I'd talk to adults who had drunk alcohol.
Your dad also drinks alcohol.
Yes.
So it's kind of normal in your family.
Well, I don't know because my mom doesn't drink alcohol. So is it really, I don't know, you know?
Yeah. But you have family members who drink alcohol.
Yeah. But it's just, I don't know. It was never that big of a deal to me. Because I think another thing is like, I don't not drink alcohol because
why don't you?
I'm like scared of alcohol. My mom doesn't drink it. There's just, sometimes you grow up with your family and you adopt some traits and you don't adopt others. One of the traits I adopted was I don't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's ways to do it safely. I don't particularly enjoy the idea of not remembering or not being in complete control of my decisions. So I think that might be part of it. But I don't think that's what has to happen. I'm just scared that if I did it, like that's what would happen. Like I would go crazy or something. So
there's definitely that like fear of losing control for me as well.
Yeah.
Like I just don't like the idea that I won't be able to think straight or remember anything, just be completely like out of control.
Well, I think the other thing is I don't really care about alcohol. Like I have never had like the desire to try it.
Did you ever feel like peer pressure to try alcohol?
No. Well, no, not really. I think I mean, there are people who have tried to, peer pressure me into drinking alcohol. But I think in my head, I'm like, the only reason I would drink alcohol is to fit in with my friends, who I already fit in with sober.
It'd be stupid to like
so
do
why,
that.
I just don't see the point in it. Yeah. But I understand why people do it. Also, like, I know people, like my dad genuinely enjoys the taste. like of some, things. Like I don't think
he's like a fancy alcohol guy though.
yeah.
Like he drinks like really good quality like whiskeys and
dad.
bourbons and stuff. Yeah.
But so I understand it, and I also like I get the feel. I feel like it would be nice sometimes to like have the lowered inhibition. Like I understand that, but I just don't. There's nothing really that I need to lower my inhibitions for at the moment, so I'm good.
Regardless of whether you choose to go to parties or not, you can make friends in college, even if you don't drink.
I agree. Like, I don't think you don't
have to go to parties, but even if you want to go to parties, it can be fine, even if you're not drinking.
I also think if you're sober and you want to go to a party, you can make a friend. Yeah. You can make a friend even if they're drunk at a party.
I just think the only thing that's
hard
also
have fun.
If you don't know anyone there and you're also sober.
I think that can be difficult.
That's like the tough situation.
Because at least when you're sober with friends that are drunk, you guys are already connected on some level that has nothing to do with the alcohol.
And then you can make fun of them later.
Yeah,
that's
you can make
also
fun of them later. If you are with like complete strangers, sometimes it can be difficult because it can feel like they're on a completely different level than you because you don't already have a pre-existing connection. However, I will say that I have met some strangers and I felt like we've had great conversations.
Really?
With them drunk, yes.
Wow.
So I don't think it always happens.
I think you're just more smooth than I am in these situations. Like, I just feel like I'll show up and I'll talk to someone who's at a party and just within 2 seconds, I'm like, it's just not going to work out.
I think you're expecting to have a normal conversation sometimes.
Yeah.
So then when you're not, like, when that's not the mark that you're hitting, then you're like, why am I here?
I immediately just like somehow the sirens go off in my mind. I just feel like I'm in like an enemy camp and I've been exposed.
I think that's a little bit dramatic.
I mean, well, I'm a dramatic person. Okay, I feel like I'm like a rebel who's just infiltrated like the Empire's stronghold and like a stormtrooper just caught me. That's how. That's how I feel when I'm talking to a drunk person at a party. So I think the lesson here is that you can have fun if you lower if you have correct expectations. Like you don't expect to have like the goddamn principled conversation of your life at this party. You just like have fun.
You know, another thing is if you go to a bar sober and it's like a dancing bar, you can sometimes have fun. If you like to dance, you can have fun sober really easily at those types of things because you're like dancing.
Because you just like to dance.
Yeah. So.
All right. Let's see. My good friend Ben asks, I mentioned this guy several times as well. What have you learned from the friendships during college that haven't worked out? How has it shaped you as a person and your relationships with others moving forward?
I've had some friends who I've worked with in the past, whether that's like because we were part of an org or we had like a school project or something, and they didn't do their part, or I felt like I was doing a lion's share of the work. And it took a toll on our friendship because I was like, if we are friends here, why are you putting all of the work on me for these very important things that we have to do together? And then also not showing me the appreciation I deserve for doing over 50% of the work sometimes. What I learned from that is that you don't have to be best friends with everyone you work with. And it's okay sometimes to be best friends with people you work with, but you don't have to be. And it's also, I think my communication skills skyrocketed after these instances because I was in a friendship. We were working together on something. I felt like I was doing a lot of the work. I felt like this person didn't respect me, didn't take the time to consider the fact that I was drowning in work. And I still had to work with them until the end of the year. And I texted this person separately, privately. And I was like, I do not think that at this point in time, I have space for you in my life socially.
Whoa.
So I think they handled it beautifully also. I think that helped that they were a mature communicator. And I have no resentment. Sorry. I have no resentment towards this person at all. I hope that they are doing great. But in that moment, we weren't good friends. And in order to keep my personal life fine above water and to keep the organization above water, I was like, we just need to stop. And so I just told them the truth because I had been debating it for a while because I had started to become a little distant with this person personally. And they asked me about it. And I was talking to some of my other friends and I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I still have to work with this person. And then some of my friends were like, maybe you should just brush it off. And I decided to be honest because I was like, I'm not about to gaslight this person. Like I was being distant. I don't want to be friends with this person right now. And the last time we spoke, we ended things on good terms. So I think I truly believe every situation can be fixed with mature communication.
Yeah.
Like I am like this is the answer. So I think that helped. And so I think what I learned from that was, one, you need to let yourself let go of friendships no matter the circumstance. I had to work with this person, I still let go, you know? So I think that's really important. It's easier, it's better just to take the step back that you need to take.
I commend you for being able to do that. I would not be able to do that. So, yeah, I think like on paper, and I think the correct answer is, you should tell them. And you did the correct answer. Again, I don't think I'd be able to do that. I mean, there have been a few times where I've had to end friendships. One time it was a pretty serious situation. I had like a little conflict with someone in high school. I won't dive into it, but was related to girls / women. But we won't go there. And then the next time it was less serious. It was more like I just ended up, there was this guy who I would spend time with my senior year of college, and we would end up arguing about a lot of things. He would kind of put me down every once in a while. So we'd been in a social situation or a group, and I'd be talking about something, and he would say stuff like, that doesn't really matter, right? Whatever you achieve doesn't really matter. Obviously, he wouldn't say it that directly, but he would implicitly send his energy towards me, and that energy was, you are not anything to be proud of. What you have done doesn't really matter. And implicitly, it was especially the things that I would do better than him. So like if there's anything that I was better at than him, he would immediately send this like mental telepathic waves at me to like try to like bring me down in that way. And it would feel horrible. And there was like one moment where I was in this study area, and me and this guy ended up arguing for like over an hour about something like stupid. And one of my other friends was there, and in that situation, the guy started to like turn me against my other friend. So like he was comparing me and this other friend, being like, oh, this guy's better than you at this, but you're better at this than this guy. And he was like getting us pissed off at each other somehow. So it was like a puppet master at work, just like playing with each other.
That's called manipulator.
Exactly. I was getting manipulated right in front of my eyes by this guy. And then after a while, or I came home, and then I immediately texted Vithi, and I was like, God, like this happened. I feel so horrible right now. Like I hate this guy. Like I feel terrible. Like he was turning me against my friend as well. And then you told me that I should just end the friendship.
Yes, immediately. Because I think that there are things that you can talk out, but you were not at a point in your life where you needed to talk that out with this guy. This guy didn't care that much about you to like, for you to need to work it out, you know? I think sometimes you should have a conversation first and then see if things change and then end the friendship, but this was not one of those times. Yeah. Also, it was like his 7th offense, and I was like, I'm done. I'm tired.
There have been other friends where I have had conversations with. First of all, those other friends, they have not gone this far at all. Like this is especially bad. And I do think a mature thing to do would have been to explain it to him and then stop talking to him, but I just ghosted him. By ghosted, it's not like he was like texting me every day. He texted me once, and then I didn't respond. And then a few days later, he texted me again, and I didn't respond. And that was the last time I ever talked to him. So it was kind of like a chill ghosting.
It's okay. I'm pretending that I'm a really great communicator right now. I have also had my moments, you know, so I'm not going to judge you for that, but.
I just feel like in that situation, yes, it would have been more optimal to tell the guy, but also what matters most, like your self-esteem and well-being is the most important thing. And if you feel like, if someone is consistently putting you down, you don't feel good around them, the best thing to do is just to ghost them rather than keep them around.
I do think that the mature communication route, like, kind of takes care of both sides. But if you're not at a point where you can do that, you still need that person out of your life.
Yeah, you know? I agree with that. All right. EL1398 asks, how do you choose who to keep in your close circle? Are you friends with people with very different goals and situations?
Yes. The short answer to that is yes. I have a wide range of friends.
Crazy breadth of friends.
Yes. Like, we go all the way from like
you have over like a 16-year-old who's friend?
Over 65 to like 17.
Yeah.
You just meet a lot of, I don't know how this happens. I just meet a lot of people doing my activities, and then you bond with them. I don't know. I'm like starting to overanalyze my friendships now. I'm like, why do I have such a like?
I think you just treat everyone like a person.
What?
Which sounds crazy. But I think you just take everyone as an individual. So you don't look at their like age or their background or whatever life story they have or like whatever demographics, whatever piece of, you don't judge them. You basically like take them and you're like, this is a human being that I can just connect with.
Yeah, maybe. That's a really nice way to put that.
I feel like most people, me included, we just see people and like I don't I feel like I immediately judge them in the way that not like, oh, I hate this person, but it's more like I'll see their stats on a piece of paper.
Oh.
It's as if it's like an expensive car or something, and I'm looking at like the freaking breakdown of like all the different parts and features and stuff like that. And
so like when you saw me, you were like,
assessment.
oh, brown, tall, Indian glasses.
Yeah. Parents, doctors.
Parents, doctors.
Pre-med. Musicals. Like it'll be like I will immediately pattern match amongst like 10 different traits on the person. And then based on some formulation of those traits, my brain will be like, you should be friends with them or not. Again, I don't think this is good. And I think some of my best friends do not pass that test. I mean, no. I feel like all my friends are very similar.
I don't think.
Well, you definitely passed the test.
But I'm not like similar to Ben or Jacob. I've never met either of you if you're watching this, but I assume from what Aman tells me that I'm not like Ben or Jacob.
Well, they like, what is their formula?
I'm not like Duncan either.
Yeah. But they all fit the formula, I feel like. Like Ben, Jacob, and Duncan
are all
like
fit the
STEM
formula in a
dudes.
very different way than any of those guys fit the formula.
Like whatever combination of their traits being like guys who are in CS who are also into fitness. That goes into who also like listen to podcasts.
Yeah, but when we first met, you didn't know that I liked musicals.
True, but
the only thing that we connected on was maybe reading.
True.
So we were both brown and we read.
Both brown, parents doing similar things, pre-med.
But our parents doing similar things means nothing.
In my formula, it does. No, again, I'm not saying this formula is good. This is just like how it operates, and I feel like most people are like this.
Okay. Really?
I feel like you're not.
I don't think I am at all. Yeah, that is not what I think of.
You just make an assessment of someone, whether like you feel like you would connect with them. And truth be told, the guy who I ended up ghosting, he completely passed with flying colors in this formula. I was like, I love this guy. Like, and
well, technically, I didn't pass the first time I met you.
You didn't.
No. There we go.
The second time, though, I feel. Oh, okay. Here's the thing. If you were, let's just change up some of your demographics. So let's just move your age to 40. I would not be friends with you. Or I would not have like been as open to being friends with you. Like maybe I would have been friends with you if by some magical reason I had been open to that. Or if somehow your life situation was like totally different. So like let's say you were very similar, but you worked in construction.
You know what I think it is that I just have a lot of friends who are completely different from each other. So now if I meet anyone new, I couldn't like stereotype my friends. I couldn't do it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you've met this most similar friends I have are Cable and Pranav. They're like the only two that are like
you have a crazy
similar.
variety. You have Kim, who's like the 65-year-old.
Yeah, actually, I don't know what age she is.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Somewhere around that range.
My bestie Kim, I love her.
Yeah, and then
we actually do. Also, when I say that I'm best friends with her, I feel like people don't believe me, but we literally go to dinner and shows at least like a couple times a year. So.
Which is nuts. And then
I'm literally gonna hang out with her next week.
That's crazy. And you have your other friend, Nolan.
Yeah.
Who's like 17.
Yes, he's the one that we go see in the shows.
There we go.
See his shows. Me and
so you guys
Kim,
are a group of 3?
No, not really. But like I am friends with Mother and Sheena's mother because we all did the community musical. So we just like because we're friends, we go see him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like.
And then there's Sadie, who's like.
There is Sadie, yeah.
Newscaster. She's a news anchor.
Anchor woman.
Yes, anchor woman.
Which is,
and then there's Max, who's a musician. You know.
It's just all over the place.
It's literally all over the place.
Again, I feel like almost all of my friends are either pre-med or CS.
Nathan's a chemical engineer. Like.
And then we're like CS people. Well.
You two are the CS people.
Yeah. Cable, kind of, he's data science.
Science, yeah.
Tech person.
Yeah. But then everybody else is different.
I also think that your approach to this is more conducive to being happier.
Wait, what do you mean?
I think my brother Adil's actually good at this. but is one thing you two have in common.
There we go.
He'll just like make friends with like the maintenance people in the elevator and stuff.
Oh yeah, see, there we go.
So he'll be in the elevator for his apartment. I was with him the other day. He lives in Berkeley, California, and we were in the elevator together. And these two like maintenance dudes are holding like a ceiling panel, and they turned and was like, "What's up, bro?" And they started talking to each other. Adil was like, "Oh, hey, have you kicked this guy?" They were just having a conversation.
Yeah.
Because they knew each other.
Yeah.
And Adil will just run into random guys on the street that he knows, just all over.
Do you remember when we were in Door County and I like went back in to tell that girl that I liked the chai that she gave me?
Yes.
See, I feel like that type of thing is just something that I like to do.
So for context, we visited Door County, Wisconsin, maybe 6 months ago, and we had gone kayaking. And then afterwards, you got a tea.
I got like a chai or something.
Yeah.
So I went inside. You guys weren't. You guys were outside. I think. I don't think you guys came.
I think we were just sitting outside.
Yeah, I don't think you guys came into the shop with me. And I don't drink coffee. I like tea. I'm a tea person. So sometimes I don't like chai at these different types of places because I don't think they make it very well. So I usually get like hot tea. But I was talking to the girl and I was like, yeah, I'm not like a super big coffee drinker. I like tea though. And then I was like, do you have an opinion on the chai? Like, do you drink chai? And she was talking to me about the chai, and she was like, let me make it this way for you. So I was like, okay, you know what? Let's try it. And then she was like, oh, I'm nervous that you're not going to like it. So I ordered the chai, and then I went back out to talk to you guys, and then I had it, and I loved it. I was like, wait, this is actually so good. And we were about to leave, and I was like, wait, I have to go tell the girl that I love the chai to like finish our conversation. And so I went back in, and it was just like, I don't know. It was nice to follow up with her.
Yeah, I feel like that is something that most people would not do.
I think it's a good thing to do.
Oh like, yeah, he's good at also talking to random people. Like he'll talk to like the old lady on the plane.
Yeah, but you did that recently, didn't you?
I did, but she talked to me and I reciprocated because I couldn't say not to talk to me. Like I was with this old lady, God bless her soul if she's watching this, but we were sitting there on the plane and she just would not stop talking to me, and I couldn't say no. She did the thing where I had my AirPods in and she was like, I'm so sorry to bother you, like multiple times, because she would see me taking it out, but she kept saying something to me. So, but it was fine. I enjoyed that conversation. She didn't harm me at all. For me, most of my friends are in like a similar demographic and they have similar goals as well. I do think it's nice to have people who are very different. Like I feel like you're different than me in this regard. Even though we're similar like demographically, I feel like your goals are different than mine. And it's nice to have some variety there. Though I do think there is a lot of value in, for at least for me, I know you don't necessarily follow this. You don't like to have good friends who are doing exactly the same thing as you.
I thought that I don't like it. It's that sometimes like the pre-med environment is toxic. Yeah. But I have like one really good pre-med friend, and she is one of my best friends. So I don't think it can't happen. I just think a lot of times I go into the pre-med environment and I don't want to be super competitive. I want to be collaborative because that is just the type of person that I am. I feel like I don't thrive under, oh, I'm not going to tell you what I got on the test so you don't know. You know, like I don't like that. It makes me feel icky, for lack of a better term. So, but I think a lot of other people will come into that either like scared that that's how they have to be or that's just how they are. And so that is why sometimes it's because the friends I did have were like that. Yeah. That you feel like you were being constantly sized up. Yeah. And it's just like, I just want to be your friend. I don't really want to talk Also, I want us all to succeed. You know, I don't get the like whole, oh, one has to succeed at the expense of the other thing. Yeah, I feel like most situations are not a zero-sum game like that. Yeah, it's very uncommon to go into an actual situation where it's like, yeah, if your friend succeeds, you don't. Exactly. That basically never happens when it comes to like the real world. Sure, like let's say it's a basketball team and there's one spot and you and your best friend are going for it. Like, sure, whatever. But like, but in most situations that never happens. So I feel like that energy of just sizing your friend up, putting each other down. And it's very tempting. I feel like me and my friend Pranav have had situations where, because we're both CS majors, we were both going for the same role at the same company. We interviewed for the same position at John Deere one after another. And he got the role and I didn't. So that was a bit of a tough situation to deal with. And we had to actually have a conversation about, we kind of want to keep this job stuff a little separate from our friendship. Because we were sizing each other up. Like his success, not that I didn't want him to succeed, but I would feel bad about myself if he got the role and I didn't. And vice versa. I think it's also like just really common culturally to have that mentality. So like that doesn't help.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Agreed. Final question. How do you know if the friend group you're in is the one you want to stay in?
I don't think you should ever feel like A, you have to pick up the phone or your friends are going to leave you. B, that your friends don't think you're a good person. I think those are two or C, that you don't think your friends are good people. Now, I will say there are times where I'm afraid to figure out C, because I'm like, I like these people. I don't want to find information about them that makes me think that they're not good people. But I'm also the type of person that I think in order for me to think you're a good in order for me to think you're not a good person, you'd have to do something actually like wild. Mm-hmm. Or because I feel like I'm usually pretty accepting.
You give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yes, I'm a very benefit of the doubt person. But with A and B, no. Mm-hmm. Like if they make you feel like a bad person, then why are you friends with them? If you don't like the person that you are around them, then I don't think that's the friend group that you should be in. Mm-hmm. I think if you have like severe insecurities and you can't talk them out with those friends, I don't think that's the friend group for you either.
I think, go ahead.
It's okay to have insecurities, but if you can't talk to them about it, then I don't think it's the right one.
I think if you tend to feel like a lot of pain in the friend group, I think that should, not to say that that's a reason you should end it, but I think that should alert you to do some more digging there. Mm-hmm. If you feel like a lot of negative feelings when you hang out with them a lot. You
should at least feel happy sometimes.
Like if you have a lot of negative feelings, you need to have a lot of happiness to balance it out, to make it even worth it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I guess circling back to alcohol too, I have had friends who they'll like have a great time with these other people when they're drunk, but not when they're sober. I think that you need to have fun sober also in order for it to be a good friendship.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might just be that like their guard is up when they're sober, so maybe like with time you could work on that. Mm-hmm. But if their guard is down and they're just not mean to you when they're sober, then that's not the vibe either.
Yeah. I feel like the whole thing about a friend being mean to you, I think that is also another thing you should think about. Like I've had friendships in the past where a very key part of that was that they would put you down, they'd be mean to you, they'd be rude to you. I do think that I've done a lot of thinking about whether certain friends are worth keeping around. And I think the ones that are worth keeping around, first of all, you feel like when you hang out with them, often it's like, man, this is what makes life worth living. I feel like with that way with you and Pranav often. And also you feel like they genuinely care about you. Like if you were to get into an accident, they would be there at the hospital. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's like a really good heuristic. It's like if something bad were to happen, would they be there by your side? Mm-hmm. Or at least would they like really wish they could be there? Mm-hmm. And if the answer is no, then I would only keep them around if we had like something really great in common. So it was like, oh, we hit the gym together and have a great time. Even if this guy's not like the best friend in the world, I would still hang out with him or them. So you have to think about like what. I think it's worth running an analysis and thinking about like, how do I feel around these friends that I have? And are they serving me in terms of at least?
I think another thing about a friend group, I'm just thinking about this because of like us. I think that like for you, you would have to be in a friend group where your friends were supportive of your relationship.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? I think that is like, so if you are in a relationship, in order to have a friend, especially like because you're long distance, if you are in a friend group, in a long distance relationship, your friends need to like be super supportive of that long distance relationship, or it's just like, I don't think it's gonna work, you know? And if they're not either, you need to reevaluate, because I feel like there are times where the relationship is the issue. Not in this case. We love Ophelia's. What? So much. I miss her and I wish she was here right now.
Yeah. But she doesn't want to be here.
I know. I want her to be here though.
Me too.
But or like if you like when you need to step away and take a call, if we weren't supportive of your relationship, we might get like frustrated or mad. But I'm always like, yes, you go talk to Ophelia. Like, you know, so I think that helps. It helps that too.
I think you have to isolate what are your priorities and what are the things you really care about, and your friends should be supporting those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like for you, I feel like what are the most important things in your life? I feel like your family, like your sister is probably number one.
Yeah, like if you guys ever said anything bad about her.
Like if we were like just in some world, if we just like didn't like Monty for some reason.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be a problem.
Yeah, I think it'd be a problem.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So it's like you have to figure out what do you. I think there's other things in my life that I feel like it's nice that you guys support. So obviously my relationship, my family, YouTube, this channel. I feel like it's very important to me. The gym, it's just like those things that you really care about. If your friends are constantly putting you down for that, constantly working against what you care about, that should be something you think about.
Like, there's a fine line to walk here, because like we make fun of you for your like red glasses. Yeah. But also at the same time, like,
but I also think it's funny.
Yeah, but also at the same time, I'm like, okay, but go to bed.
Yeah.
Like, go to sleep. Like, you know.
Yeah, it would be like, for context, I'm a huge like biohacker kind of guy. So I have red lights everywhere. I have red light glasses. I like really care about my like melatonin production in the night, et cetera, et cetera. And let's say I was hanging out with you guys, and you guys would like constantly be like, dude, take those off. Like, why do you have those on? It's so annoying when you wear those. You look so bad. Like, it's so cringe. Like, take those off. Turn the lights on. Like, if that was like incessant, it would be like, dude, like what's going on here?
Yeah.
And I do think some people are in situations like that where their friends are constantly just like taking the piss of what they care about or their goals. So I think that should alert you to think more about that.
I think that's just a very like high school friendship.
Yeah.
Like I think as you mature, like the things you roast your friends about, if it's like about their lifestyle, you roast it maybe like a little tiny bit in a way that they they're gonna find funny.
Yeah.
But you usually just like roast awkward moments or something. Like when we're out in public and I feel like you're not aware of how large you are as a person. I'm like, can you please move to the side?
Yeah.
Like that I'll make fun of you for, right? Yeah. But that's not like who you are as a person.
Yeah. I'm 6'3" or 6'2.6" or something like that. So, and I mean, that's part of it. But the other part of it is that I also just have like no spatial awareness. And my family knows this. Vithi knows this. My girlfriend, Ophelia, knows this. I just turn around and just knock things over. I back into people. Like I'll just back into an old lady randomly. It just happens.
It stresses me out.
Yeah. And I'll put like glasses on the edge of the table and then knock them over, stuff like that. So I find it funny when you guys make fun of me for that.
Yeah.
Another question I have for you though is, what do you think changes as you age? Do you think you pick better people, or do you just get better? Or do people like mature, or both?
People definitely, okay. We're talking about friendships right now.
Yeah.
I don't think that picking people better is really a thing, because I sometimes I think what happens is people mature and then you know what you are looking for or what's healthy and what's not healthy because you've had like trial and error experiences already. And also when you're older, I feel like there's less, like in high school, you have to be friends, you like feel like you have to be friends with these people because you see them every day. So it's harder to just remove yourself from the situation. I feel like it's a lot easier to do that in college or when you're an adult, because you just don't hang out with the people that are bad for you.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, in high school, you're forced to be in a room with the same people.
Yeah.
And you'll just be with like people who are really bad for you just all the time. And in college, sure, like you're around the same people. Let's say you're in an organization, you're around similar people there in your classes. But the pool just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And pretty soon when you're an adult, there's simply no reason to spend time with someone that does not.
Yeah, it's just like, why? You. Yeah.
Why would you be doing that? Because you'd be doing it to yourself at that point. Yeah. There's almost no, I mean, maybe at the workplace is the only place I can think about. Maybe like, I don't know, if you're like religious, you go to church or something and some people are there are rude or something like that. Usually you have the ability to get out of bad situations. And I think that changes as you age. I also think people do become more understanding as they age though. This is not the case for everyone.
But I think you've already been, like, you're already 100%. More understanding.
I mean, throughout this conversation, yeah, we painted the picture of like early on and now. I definitely have gotten more understanding, less judgmental, easier to talk to, easier to be good friends with as I've aged. There are people who I just never connected with 5-10 years ago that I connect with now, and they're so much different. They're so like, they're kids who were like the quote unquote popular kids, which is such a weird term, in the high school, and I'll just see them at the gym in my hometown, and they'll be like, man, you look amazing. What the hell happened? And I'll be like, oh my God, dude, you're awesome. So we'll literally have a conversation and it'll be such a good conversation. And this person I would have never connected with before. So I do think most people just become more caring and understanding, and their social skills also improve as they age. So things get easier, hopefully. All right, Vithi, thank you for coming today.
Absolutely.
High five.
Let's go.
That's today's episode of the Liftoff podcast. Thank you so much for watching. Now, if you want early access to every single one of these podcast episodes, head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or your podcast app of choice and follow Liftoff with Aman Manazir. That's right. You can listen to every podcast episode before it gets released on YouTube if you go over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or check the link in the description and hit subscribe. And finally, always remember, the night is darkest before the dawn. I'll see you in the next one.